All right, so we're doing something a little bit different this year. As many of you have seen, this is a little different. It was asked, so the board said they would try it this year, something a little bit different to see how some smaller roundtables might go. Now, if you're a district that you're by yourself, it's hard to be in 4 different sessions. If you're a district that brought 3 or 4 people, you can spread out amongst the different roundtables and everything. So I promise you, if you ask your questions and you get them answered and decide to go somewhere else, you're not going to hurt my feelings, but I hope to see all of you plus some more come in. But this is the Google Roundtable. So this is your chance. Ask your questions to your peers. Ask how other people are doing things. I'm going to take notes as well as record it so that we can make sure it's in there, get it out there to everybody, whatever the case may be. But this is something for you guys to ask your questions, just like the large roundtable. How many of you are new to NCET? Okay. Those that are new, you'll see our big roundtable here at 2:30, where we open up all the walls, and it's 200 and some people all asking questions at the same time. Not really. But, so, to kick things off, anybody? Yes, ma'am.
You had to bring it up.
Okay. Nope, that's fine. I'm prepared for that one. So,
All right, it's all you.
So if you go to YouTube, there's a video on YouTube this guy named John put together that takes you through step by step. But Chromebooks. Yes, you can. So,
it's easier.
Huh? There is not a video, but there are directions. Practical solutions. Don Jones has put together some information, has it posted out on his site. I'll post that in here.
Do you use group policy? Yes. You would use group policy, incorporate Google, and then you can blacklist apps and you allow that app. It'll give you developer's code and you can allow that one.
So out on Don's page, down at the very bottom, he's got the NC Test Chrome app. These notes, I know it's hard to see here, but I'll have that in the notes. I've got his link there.
And if you're using AD, using Don's solutions, exactly what we did too. We created an NC Test user. They log in with this T-Test and runs his little app there. Basically gets the app from the App Store, puts it in Chrome for you. I mean, you log back out, log in again, and they're testing.
So he's got the directions out there. I have not recreated any because he's got the step-by-step directions already out there and available for you. Now, on the Chromebook side, I hate bringing up YouTube because my kids get on my account at the house. Yeah, so you see, we got baseball. That's my 4-year-old. Okay, we got the doll room. That's my 8-year-old. So but
I tell you, you can get weird stuff even if you stay on your own account. Don't do anything.
So NC Test and Chromebooks, there's the 2015-16 video here that will take you through all of those pieces, and I'm putting that in the notes. So that video will take you to creating it with your NC Test and everything. Now, on the Chromebooks, don't try to use the public session. Just set it up as a kiosk and be done with it. Now, there is one gotcha. When you do it into kiosk mode, we don't have a way to tell the Chromebooks to stay awake. Okay? So the students will need to make sure they constantly just move the mouse across the screen just for a second or whatever. Otherwise, you do risk the Chromebook going to sleep in the kiosk mode. Okay? Now, if you're using public session, you can push out an extension such as Keep Awake and then tell it to keep the Chromebook awake all the time. Or if you're pushing it out to individual students, they can bring it up as well in that manner.
And that will still work with Kiosk Mode.
Correct. Yes.
I remember them saying that we were no longer going to be able to use a single account to have the students log in.
Correct.
Do you know about how many simultaneous logins it'll accept before it cuts?
25 in 1 minute. Well, between 15 and 25 is what we've seen. So if 15 computers get logged into in under a minute, it's locking accounts, is what we've seen. Now, this is just with Chromebooks. If you're doing it with Chrome browsers, we're not seeing that issue. So you could have Chrome browsers authenticating on 30 machines if you wanted to without a problem. It's whenever it's on the Chromebooks that we've seen that issue.
So are you thinking that the way to handle that is to take the whole student OU and move it into your test OU?
No, what you want to do is you want to set up kiosk mode. So let me log into my environment here. And it's literally very simple to set up. So when this comes up, you want to go into your Chrome Management Console. From your Chrome Management, go to My Device Management, go to Chrome Management, and from there, in your device settings, you scroll down. I like to set mine at the root level. You can change it if you want to a lower level, depending upon if you've got your Chromebooks moved or not. But you get down to the kiosk apps. And here I've told it to manage, and I've added the NCTest app. That way, if you have your Chromebooks that are managed, on the login screen on the lower left, you'll see apps, and then you'll see NCTest. And that's all they have to do is click on that, click on there, log into the NCTest, and you're testing. You're done. It literally can take you less than 5 minutes to get every machine ready to go for NCTest if you're using Chromebooks in that manner. Questions?
So you said about Chrome browser, so if I have a generic login for instance computer, I have all my computers logged in and there, they can use Chrome browser.
Yeah, so the question is, if I've got a Active Directory account that's NCTest for all the students to use, generic user, you click on it, it brings up their desktop environment. If you've already got the Chrome browser with a user NCTest at whateverschool.com or whatever your domain is, you can have NCTest at whatever, and then let those browser settings synchronize across all those profiles. All the computers, it would synchronize across them, so it would get the extension up there for the NCTest, and you'd be good to go. That's if you were using a local accounts. Yes, sir.
The YouTube video that you have up there, is it the same one that you created maybe like a year and a half ago?
No, it's been updated.
Okay.
Because the original one that I created 2-3 years ago was basically use a local account and block everything but these sites.
Right.
This one, you want to use this manner.
Okay. Okay.
Here it's using the kiosk mode, and you're just allowing the single app to run, and they don't get access to anything else.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I was told to ask you, is there any way to easily move the student domain to the primary domain?
Yes! All right, so I'm going to use Dan for instance. Johnston County Schools, okay? Johnston County Schools started out jcsnc.org, okay? They started out as jcsnc.org, started it out 4 or 5 years ago, and said, okay, staff and students both are inside this domain. When they made the decision to go to Google, we added their johnston.k12ncus into there as a secondary domain. With that, though, some things were a little quirky, the way that we had to set some different things up. Google has now given us the option that you can change the primary domain name to be this secondary one. So if you've got 2 domain names in your environment, we can tell it to change it now. Now, there's a couple of different ways you can do it. You can do it in your admin console, or we can do it with a third-party app called GAM, which is a command line tool that we can flip it over and do it. Yes, that's been out now for about 7 months. Have we done it anywhere? Not yet. Because it came out after school started. I would not change it until summertime if I was to change it with anyone. Because if you're using GADS, the directory sync tool, we've got to reconfigure GADS. If you're using the password sync, we've got to reconfigure password sync and everything along those lines because they're authenticating with a different mechanism and everything. So I would wait till summer if you were looking to do it, but if you are looking to do it, let me know and we can make sure that that happens.
Yeah.
Yes.
Call me June 3rd.
What would be the reason to do that, though? Why would you?
The only cases that I see it is if your secondary domain name was actually your staff accounts, so that they're the primary account rather than the secondary. Because things like Google Sites, if you were to use Google Sites by default, it puts in there sites.google.com / the primary domain name rather than the secondary one that you would want it to be for your staff accounts.
And the biggest problem we have is teachers create sites and students can't see.
Yeah. Remind me which district you're with? Yatkin? Okay. So you guys, y'all are actually 2 separate Google Apps domains. A student Google Apps for Education and a staff Google Apps for Education. When you have 2 separate instances, there are issues within that environment as well. Because if you've got Chromebooks, if you've got several different types of things, it causes a ruckus. So it's better if all of your Google Apps accounts are underneath one domain, one Apps for Education domain.
Merge the 2?
You can after they've been done, but we can get the mail migrated over for free. To get the documents moved from one Apps for Education over to another Apps for Education, there's a tool that we can get to do it, but it's at cost.
Would that apply if, so our charter school is changing our name? So
for you with yours, what we're going to take there is we'll create a subdomain, and then we'll actually do that, change the secondary to the primary domain. We're doing it all within your one Google Apps for Education.
okay.
So
I kind of picked up on you saying there's a cost moving the documents.
that's if they were 2 separate Google Apps for Education domains.
Okay.
Yours, you've got orangecharterschool.org currently, and then we're going to add in your new domain name as a secondary account. We'll change out all of your accounts over to that secondary one, and then we'll flip it up. It'll be about a 4-day process.
Okay. That sounds good.
So, it's amazing how many of y'all I know.
Yeah.
All right. Questions?
So I have ludicrous student IDs, email addresses in Google. Students can't remember them, so we're going to switch them. But I don't want the students to lose their current one. So I kind of want an alias, but I want to do the same thing we're talking about here, create an alias for it, and then flip the alias.
So what we can do there is pull a report out of Google of all of your accounts, decide what you want their new naming scheme to be, and using Google Apps Manager, the command line tool, we can change their usernames and it automatically creates an alias with their old account.
Okay.
Now, if you're using Directory Sync, Google Apps Directory Sync, we would then have to take that old address and put it as a proxy if you wanted to keep it.
Okay.
But it can be done. Google Apps. So are many of you familiar with Google Apps Manager? Love it, okay? Google Apps Manager, you can get more data using Google Apps Manager than you can from the admin console. Through your admin console, you can get more data, easier to pull reports. You want to find out every group that somebody's in. I can pull that report using Google Apps Manager, have it instantly show me on the screen. Or you can do several other different types of reporting. Now, I don't want to get too much into that because if you come to Friday's session, we'll be doing Google Apps reporting where we're using things such as that. So
You said it's a third party. Is it something we can?
it's free. It's free, and I hate doing this, but there's this guy that has a video called Google Apps Manager. I'm telling you, my trainings, I post them online. They're out there and available. You see, we've got several different ones over here. Administration, Chromebooks Online. That's the one from 3 years ago. Whatever the case may be. They're out there and available. It doesn't take me no time. If I'm doing a session, I'll record them. So if you want to learn about Google Apps Manager, there's a link there to take you to it and how to set it up.
Can you go to some of the SAML?
Hmm?
Can you highlight SAML integration with that? Or do you want to touch on that? You can say that.
No. So the question is, Google has now come out to where you can actually use Google as your authentication source for SAML, single access, single sign-on, basically. In there, we can set up your users to where you can use Google as an authentication source. So you want to have Google as your sign-in source for stuff. Well, I'll use Zscaler. That's the one I've been tinkering with. So instead of using your Active Directory, believe it or not, there are schools that don't have an Active Directory system.
Yes.
So you don't have an Active Directory. You can actually use Google to authenticate against other services. So if you're familiar with Shibboleth or anything like that that uses means to authenticate against other systems, that's what they've started allowing you to do. Now, I've just started messing with the Google one. This is another new feature that's recently came out. So we've been working to get it to work with Zscaler, how we can make it authenticate against Google rather than coming back against your Active Directory or something else. Because if you don't have a directory source currently for authenticating to Zscaler or something along those means, the students have access to changing their passwords. And you don't always want the students to be able to change their passwords or whatever. So by this means, we'll be able to reroute the authentication to Google. They can't change their passwords, and you know what they are. Now, on the flip side, if you're running anything such as Shibboleth or things along those lines, you can authenticate against Google against a single sign-on source. Now, you've got access to the Identity Auto piece, the IAM service. You've got different pieces that we can tie in with your Google Apps environment for authentication. So you're not authenticating against Google, you're authenticating against your own sources. But it's not being adopted too much around the state. And I can get into that later, why it's not. But we're working on it, trying to change some things to where it will be easier and make it more worthwhile for folks to adopt it around the state.
Is Google going to offer the option to not let students change their password at any time?
Yes, we can do that now.
You can.
You can. So to stop students from changing their password, if we go into security and we go into single sign-on setup, now this is if you were setting up your own SAML source and everything, excuse all of those. Ah, man. I need another. So you have, ignore the stuff that I've got configured here from where we've done stuff, but the change password URL, you don't have to turn on single sign-on. You can put in whatever web address there you want to. Now, it's going to affect your staff and your students. But if you create a web page that tells your staff to do Control-Alt-Delete on their computer to change their password, and their Active Directory password will update Google, and then tell it for students, you need to contact whoever in order to change your password if it's been compromised or whatever the case. By putting in a URL there, it automatically makes it to where nobody can change their password using the Google authentication source.
And that's using GAS and what they can't. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
It will stop them from changing their password on Google. So they will not be able to go to the account security, change my password within the Google Apps environment.
But
But
no
to
way
be
to,
clear, you said you did not turn on SSO, but you did change
Correct.
that.
Correct. So here, you do not have to turn it on. It tells you there, URL to let users change their password in the system when defined here. This is shown even when single sign-on is not enabled. So even if you don't turn on single sign-on, you can stop them from changing their Google Apps password.
but no way to limit it to a subdomain if your students are.
There is not a way to limit it to just students, no.
How?
Hmm?
Oh, Control T we're talking about was the,
In Active Directory, on the Active Directory computer.
so if you're syncing passwords from Active Directory.
Correct. You could do it that way for staff, and students, they don't have access to doing it or whatever.
That's if you allow staff to change it.
That's correct, if you allow them to change it. Yes, sir.
All right, I know that I can install a certificate on a Chrome device. Is there any way to use the same process to install a certificate on for an account or for Chrome itself on a Windows or Mac machine?
You'll have to do it with your MDM.
Okay.
If you have an MDM solution, you can do it that way. Or if you've got Active Directory in place, you can push the policy out through your group policy. Push the cert.
I was just hoping for a quick and easy shortcut to push out a certificate.
No.
That would be really, really nice.
Yeah, but see, the thing is there you're pushing it out to the machine, and in Google's world, we're pushing it out to the user. So, yeah, we don't have that access yet. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Auto log off of Chromebooks.
Okay.
Current situation, close the book, log it off. Is there a way to do that yet?
So I have to be careful with the way I say some things. Natively, no. But what it does is you can set it to lock the machines. When they close the screen, it locks the machine. When they reopen it, it says so-and-so's logged in. They've just got to click on there and say add another user to the device. They click the little upside down triangle, add another user to the device, then the next person can log in. Or hit the power button, turn it back on, wait 7 seconds, log in. Or 10 seconds and log in.
So the first user would still be logged in.
If you just close the machine and open it back up, the first user will still be logged into it unless you completely power cycle it, or if you just tell it to add another account. But it'll be locked on their account to where they got to type in the password.
When you add the second account, it doesn't log out the first?
It won't log them out.
Right, okay.
It allows multiple logins, but it won't log them out.
Are you talking about Chrome browser on a laptop, or are you talking about Chromebook?
Chromebook for that.
Chromebooks, when we close them, they lock the student, and then if you happen to come to a Chromebook that somebody's already signed into, you just go to the little settings on the lower right and say sign out, and it signs them out.
You can tell it to sign them out, or is it fully locking the machine to where it has just their password setting there?
If I close it, if I'm logged in, I close it, I open back up, it's me.
Okay.
I'd have to put in my password and then I'm in again.
Correct.
But I mean, we just try and get the kids to control shift QQ, log out of the machine before they put it away.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about multiple users.
You don't have to put the current user's password in to sign them out.
No,
You just sign them out?
Just sign them out.
you can just sign them out.
It's not a feature in the Chromebook that says power off when I close lid.
No.
So you're implying
It
that if you
does.
power cycle,
It shut down.
if you power cycle, it will log off anybody who's on the
Mhm.
machine.
There's not a limit to how many users can log into the machine.
I think it starts
There is. So basically, it will allow 6 people to have their pictures on the screen, and then after so many, it's going to then boot the first person off. Now, I have heard of some that have had up to like 18 pictures filling up their login screen area. My recommendation to folks is to 6th grade and above, have them fill out their username and password. Don't put the pictures up on the screen. Now, if it's lower grades, kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade, whatever, you can allow them to pick the last picture that was on there. After a while, theirs is going to rotate off. But hopefully, they're getting the same machine every day or something like that. But for older students, have them authenticate with their username and password every time they get to the computer. That way, they're getting used to it. They're getting used to logging into it. Now, with the Chromebooks, how many of you have enabled it to where they don't have to type in the student domain? Anybody? Great. So with the Chromebooks now, you can tell it to automatically populate a domain on there. So if they go to log in, it's going to be put in your preset, and it's automatically going to have @student.whatever.com. Now the great thing is if it's a teacher walking up or technology or whoever, and you want to log in with your @whatever.com instead of student, all you got to do is just click in that space and it'll automatically wipe that out, or just start typing in the @whatever.com and it will automatically erase that student portion.
Where is that set real quick?
That's where we were going. So in your device management, underneath Chrome management and device settings. Now, let's talk for a second. If you put your Chromebooks in multiple OUs, different OUs, you can apply this policy based upon the OU. This is one of the reasons why you may want to move your devices into different organizational units. And Friday, I'll show you an easy way to move them. Friday. All right, so inside of there, underneath our device settings, I can tell it to automatically use the domain below to auto-path it. Now, you've got multiple domains inside of your environment. You got @whatever.com and you've got @student.whatever.com. You can put the student one in there. That way, even if it's a secondary domain, you can use that there instead of your primary account. It's relatively new. I don't remember how long it's been there, but it's relatively new.
So I could shift the short domain name into there.
Correct. So yeah, if I wanted to put this to be student dot whatever, I could.
I didn't think you could authenticate it as your secondary domain.
You can.
You can, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So staff could still log in.
Staff can still log in. Basically, they'll just put in their whole email address, and they'll get access. So, how many of you lose devices in your district? Never, you know. A student gets a device, and I didn't mean to turn this into a Chromebook session or anything, but a student loses their device. Darn! If you're at version 35 or greater, you can force the device to be re-enrolled into your Google Apps domain. Now, 35 and greater, it's automatically forcing them to be re-enrolled. They factory default it. First thing a kid gets when they get a Chromebook is how to factory default a Chromebook. That's fine, factory default it. But you've got to turn around and enter in your domain credentials in order to get back on the machine. Great. Well, they're locked into that. It's back enrolled into the domain. Well, they still say, I lost my machine. Not a problem. You lose your machine, we can go in, we can put disabled device instructions. Here I've just got it saying, please return to John. He doesn't know where this machine is. This is in our little test area. But then if I go back to my devices, I did this the other day and somebody was using it.
Oops.
So I'm just going to take Diane here. She hadn't logged into this one since February 19th. But I can click on it, tell it to disable the device. When you disable the device, it will instantly throw a message up on the screen. Well, not instantly. It takes about 10-15 seconds or a little longer depending. It'll put a message up on the device saying this device has been disabled. Well, if the device isn't on, once it comes back on, it hooks to the network, it's going to say it's disabled. Does not matter if they factory default it, you still got to log into it, and then it's going to go right to the screen saying disabled. It's Google's version of LoJack, other than you can't track it. But it completely bricks the device, and they're not able to use it any longer. Okay? All right? Now, let's talk about licensing. Okay? Chromebook licensing. You buy a Chromebook, you buy a license to manage it. Okay? That gives you access to managing that device, that license. You send the device in to get repaired. Students, they don't break screens, teachers do. So, they break the screen, you send it in for repair. 9 times out of 10, they're taking it out of your box, throwing it over to the side, they're grabbing another one off a stack, putting it in a box, and shipping it back to you. You need to make sure that you are deprovisioning devices out of your domain when you're sending them back to get repaired. Okay? You've got accidental insurance, you've got anything like that. Disable it, or not disable, deprovision it out of your domain. Google will give you back your license that you were using for that device. When the new one comes in, re-enroll it into your domain, and you're good to go. You can then use the device again, and you don't have to purchase a new license. It uses the license that you had there. Google is no longer giving grace period licenses. Used to, they gave you ordered 300 Chromebooks, they gave you about 20 extra licenses. That's no longer happening. You use the licenses that you have. Make sense? That's why I'm audio recording. All right. I'm going to have somebody listen to this and rescribe it. Yeah, how many of you get a loaner device from a company? Right? Anybody gotten one before? And then you go to enroll it on your domain and it says it's already enrolled on somebody else's? Yeah, they didn't deprovision it before they sent it back to the company or something along those lines.
We bought some open stock Chromebooks, open box Chromebooks, excuse me, and got rid of that some off.
Okay. What else? We can talk about something besides Chromebooks if y'all want to. I know they're the hot topic around North Carolina.
Your own Chromebooks, but just and since you have a good pulse on Chromebooks in the system, how many schools out there are using Chromebooks? What grade levels are they using them in? K-12 or just?
All right. So according to the June 2015 AMTR report, we had 224,000 Chromebooks in North Carolina. According to Google's records in December, we have close to 400,000 devices in North Carolina. That was in December. As for how many are using, what they're using, grade levels, things like that, we don't have any way of tracking that. So it's this right here.
Well, what's your feel though? I mean, you talk a lot though.
A lot of one-to-ones.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of one-to-ones are using it. All right, let's poll everybody. How many of you high school one-to-ones with Chromebooks? Okay.
Ninth grade only.
Ninth grade only. How many of you are using Chromebooks with your middle schools? Okay. One-to-one Chromebooks, middle schools?
Yeah, but they stay.
Carts?
They stay at the school, but they
Okay.
they don't go home like the high school.
Elementary school Chromebooks. How many of you are just using Chromebooks all the time? You know. So.
What about teachers?
Teachers and Chromebooks. There are some districts that are giving them to teachers as a secondary device.
Mm-hmm.
As a secondary, okay.
Go ahead.
We offer
Yeah, they can't be very looked at.
a mobile device, a laptop, an iPad, or a Chromebook. We don't give them all three. We don't give them all three.
If virtual public schools would get rid of Blackboard, we'd be all great.
There's two issues right now that are the big issues. One, Blackboard has not moved completely to HTML5 for the NCVPS. Two, the teacher grade book still requires Java. Okay? Everything else runs on it? No.
Just thought I'd ask.
Pearson
If we could see it.
Pearson has upgraded PowerSchool to run HTML5. The North Carolina version does not run HTML5.
Yeah.
Yet.
Okay, the ones that raise their hand for middle school, what type of devices are you buying for Chromebook? What are y'all finding that y'all like the most? Lenovo, Dell,
Lenovo.
Like the Acers.
So the N22 has not been shipped yet,
It's on back order.
or they may be starting to ship. But the N21 is the swivel screen. Now, the swivel screens, there are 3 different models of it. You've got the Lenovo, you've got the CTL, and there's another one that's using it as well. There are actually 2 of them out in the vendor area of the N21s. The N22s are supposed to be about the same way. I've heard that they're dropping the handle. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
That's correct.
They have them here.
They have the 22?
22 down
Okay.
here, and it has the handle. It does.
They're
Blue Range has one on their table, and it has the handle, because that was one of the selling points for us in our 1-to-1 is because it does have the handle. Now, granted, what they do with the handle is right, but that was one of the selling points. But the N22 does have the handle. Blue Range has one. Mhm.
It just doesn't do the swivel camera, right?
It does.
It still does the swivel?
The big fix on the N22 is the keyboard, where on the N21 you pop keys like they're
Chiclets.
Yeah.
The N22, they fixed that. That's their biggest fix.
See, rumors are terrible. Well, see, the thing is, I don't get to see them.
The other thing I heard about from the vendor for the swivel is that they got the microphone incorporated with it as well.
Yeah.
On the N22? Yeah.
So then the microphone points the same direction.
Yeah.
Swivel camera. What's their names?
Blue Range.
All right. The question about the Chromebooks, what models are folks using? I'm hearing the N21, N22.
The Acer 730, the little one, it's a ruggedized, fill-through, pretty tough. But get a sample.
HP 11. The ruggedized one.
No, it's like this, except it's 11 inches rather than 14.
He's coming out with a ruggedized.
They probably are. My take on why are you coming out with a ruggedized, that's what shot Lenovo in the foot with their first model Chromebooks. They tried to make them ruggedized, well then they charged $450 for them.
Yep.
So you can buy 2 throwaways for the cost of 1.
Exactly.
But you can get them out for 12 bucks if they got one.
The Acer 720 you guys have?
I have a few of them.
So, from my point of view, I've used a lot of them, okay? They all do the same thing. It's really personal preference.
Durability.
Rhonda, why did you guys buy the Dells?
Because they were the cheapest.
That's not what you've told me before. Previously, Rhonda had told me because we had a lot of Dell power supplies and they work with them.
Actually, they were the cheapest. You don't have to buy any more power supplies. All the power supplies that you have, all those old laptops work with the Dell model.
Yeah, because the power is one of the problems that one of our biggest issues in Bladen is it's so flimsy. Exactly. We have so many that are popped off inside the charging port.
Yes.
Oh no, well it's a regular power.
Mhm.
Dell's is a regular plug like on a laptop.
It's a big one, yeah.
It's a big one. So I mean, it's a regular plug.
In the 22,
So there's no breaking it off.
size than the 21.
It's not those little pin things.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but I talked to the Lenovo guy.
Let's go down to Blue Range right now.
See the blue
Go get it.
One understands.
In 15 minutes you can.
I'll run down there and get
Tom, can you
Right down there. Get it.
So, what other models are you guys using? I know Moore County's using the HP 14 for their 1-to-1.
I have a question that's
Okay.
related. I'm thinking about our K2 group, because we haven't hit with these devices yet, and a touch-sensitive Chrome tablet for them, or Chromebook, to transition them from touch to keyboarding. I'm playing around with the Asus Flip today. What are you guys thinking? And my problem is content. I haven't really needed to touch the screen on this since I started using it, but
Right, you'll find it's
the
not.
K2 group, but that's today. And I asked the directors the other day, what's your tea leaves say? 2 years from now, is the developer is going to develop content in the Google App Store that's going to, be iPad killing or iPad competitive.
It's never going to be the iPads,
No, I don't think. I mean, they got too much of a head start.
but people are leaving the iPads.
Well, you come in.
I was
at
fixing
this
to say
price point,
because
I will.
the price,
They
the
can't
pricing
afford,
is.
they can't afford them and they break just like everything.
Well,
It's not like.
and that's the truth.
Not like
But
they
as we
break.
sit here from our perspectives, and it's a nuts and bolts discussion, the real discussion is there content specifically for my K2 group that's going to increase their educational value? And for that, I'm still having a struggle of going with a cheaper device to not get the outcomes I want content-wise.
Yeah, we end up with iPads and K2 just for calls and the content.
Right.
How they package it.
It's not.
And that you did it for.
Samsung tablet purchase.
Okay.
They're not.
That's an Android interface?
The teachers are loving it because they use the apps they
Okay. That's what I want to.
And I can tell you, they break the same way.
Sure, they'll still break, but
And they're
I've slipped it over to a
sensitive to
content
Yeah.
discussion. I'm going to talk to you later about enterprise Android. That works out.
But you've got the tablets. These are the two that I see the most of. They're still new.
Yeah.
They're still new to the market. How they're going to be, who knows?
It's multi-$1,000 bet.
We're kind of waiting for the Google management to catch up with some kind of tablet device, because right now with little Nexus handhelds and stuff like that for the K2s, it's just a nightmare trying to keep all those things configured.
Looks.
Putting 2 kids on each Nexus, because that's all you can put on them. And that
Right.
mess. We're just kind of hoping that they'll get their act together and extend Google to the tablet format to make things easier.
With your tablets, and I mean it's the same thing with the iPads. And correct me if I'm wrong. When you start looking at tablets or phones or anything like that, they're personal devices, just like Apple's been selling for years. And they want every kid to have their own. That's why you can't get but two users on it. There's no way to have a login screen. And
Now, the gentleman in iOS 9.3, and it's not out yet, they're going to add multiple profiles to the iPad, so you can just pick the kid's picture off of it. I believe when I see it.
Diane went to a session with the iPads at NCET, and that's what she was saying too, is that it is going to be more multi-user, supposedly.
I think that's mostly Google's forcing into that.
That way it can be more one device for multiple kids, more cart-based environment.
Totally different subject, got another poll. How many folks are using Google Classroom extensively?
We let our teachers choose. We let our teachers choose, but what they're finding, they won't do everything they wanted to do. I don't think there's anything that really does everything they wanted to do. So sometimes, I let my teachers choose in classroom.
The ones that are using Google Classroom, is it fitting right? Is it?
The only thing that seems to be missing is a good grade book.
Mhm.
That seems to be the biggest complaint I get about it.
I don't think it has good parent access. I think it's
Parent access?
Parent access. It's only like student access. You have to enroll kids, and they have to be in your domain. Correct.
Yeah.
So the only way a parent could see it is if a parent
Get
has
the
an
student to log in.
address that's in your domain.
If they're using the student's login.
Yeah, we've actually debated giving the parents logins in a parent subdomain for that purpose.
Brent Sarver from Google's going to be here later.
Yeah, he'll be here tomorrow.
He'll be
What'd he
interested
say?
to hear. He's always interested to hear all the
Brent from
ideas
Google will be here.
to develop into.
So yeah, we have 2 guys from Google coming. Brent and Andrew are both supposed to be here tomorrow, so they'll be here. They'll be here late tonight and everything, but they'll be here tomorrow. They've got 2 sessions on Google. pick their brains, ask your questions, beat them with a stick like we do. So.
Now, they talked about something like for Google Expeditions.
Oh, it was awesome.
That'd be
We did it this week. It was awesome.
Yeah, so they're going. They may talk about the expeditions. We're supposed to have. They're supposed to be bringing some VR stuff for us.
Are they bringing the boxes?
So.
Okay, then I'll answer them back. I will do it. I have to make my appointment.
Now, as far as the VR boxes, I actually heard last week that the Happy Meal boxes are going to be able to turn into VR and
Coke.
like Coke products.
The Coke products are doing it too.
So I'll let y'all in on a secret. Make sure you stay Friday because there's some to give away as door prizes.
It's too many people now. You told too many
What time is it?
That'll be Friday at the giveaways. Yeah.
Friday at 5.
Yeah.
Is anybody using Go Guardian and any negatives?
The price.
Price.
The price.
We got it.
What is it?
There's two products, there's a class, like a teacher product and there's an admin product, and they do different things.
Mm-hmm.
Each one of those is $7 per kid per year.
$7 per year?
Don't even pay.
Teacher,
Per kid per year.
teacher creates a class, class.
Right, yeah.
And when the kids log in, the teacher has a, dashboard where they can see what the kids are on,
Mm-hmm.
can manipulate, closed tabs and whatnot.
They can actually see like a timeline of, here's the kid's on task, and here this kid opens a new window and goes plays a game, and then maybe he gets back on task or maybe he doesn't. And you can close that.
Veronic's Insight.
We tried in that discussion a thing called cross teaming. I think a guy did really done. It killed our network. We maxed our bandwidth out for the entire day. Which I replied, if we leave that for another 2 weeks, then NCET will.
So I talked to your folks yesterday about that. So there's several products on the market that you can look at. I'm not a salesman for any of them. You've got Go Guardian, you've got Crostini, you've got Pharonics Insight. Land School has one.
The client license comes free from Lenovo.
Interesting. That's if you buy the Lenovo's, they're giving that for free, I guess. There's another one, I can't think of the name of it.
Well, they got.
Hapara.
These are all Chromebook management.
These are Chromebook managements, correct.
Net Manager.
Haven't heard of that one.
With the Go Guardian, you can use the teacher account with
As long as they're on the Chrome browser. So, of them all, just one thing I know, the guy that created this works in North Carolina for a school district. Works for a North Carolina school that created it. The big point to that one that I know of that I like is, how many of you have ever been asked, well, do y'all watch our screens when we go home? Do y'all not get asked that?
No.
So with the Crostini at 4 o'clock, no teacher is able to see any student's screen. I don't know about the other products, if they're able to or not able to after hours, things like that. So
We actually got an email from one of our teachers. He was out last Friday and shot us an email saying that he was watching his kids on Crostini at school while he was away. Which, it was just all over.
yeah, during the school day.
I know you can turn it off on a time basis for Go Guardian.
You can?
And same for Onyx.
Okay.
The thing about Pharonics, and we just put it in, it's interesting because it's the only one of these apps that I've seen that actually has a tech management console. So I can see all 250 Chromebooks in my school simultaneously.
Oh, wow.
Does it?
Guardian is similar if you pay the extra.
Any other questions, issues? Yes, ma'am.
John, we've got a Chromebook that says the operating system is corrupt or missing, or how's the best way to handle that?
So what model is it?
I don't even know.
Is it plastic? Is it Samsung? Is it?
It's a Dell.
It's a Dell one.
Uh-huh.
So what you're going to have to do is make a recovery key, and you'll have to do a recovery on
I
it.
think Eddie did that.
Okay.
It didn't work.
Really?
Yeah, I've seen
Send him a message. Tell him to bring it back to me.
Got it.
He's got it with him.
He's got it.
Normally, you may have to deprovision it out of your domain, factory default it to where we can get into the management, or excuse me, the developer mode, and then we can do it from there.
We've
had to do that before.
County where we run into the 720s that have the hard drive, where you actually, the hard drive actually has gone bad. And we had to replace the hard drive, and so we did that at Top
In the Acers.
Yeah, Acer 720s.
But the Dells, they're solid state or they're flash based.
I don't have Chromebooks. I don't know anything. I'm looking for it. So you can't image any of those. Like, how do you?
There's no point. It doesn't
No.
work.
No, Power Wash in a management console is useless. If you don't get anything out of this session, in a management environment with Chromebooks, Power Wash is useless.
That's right.
You got a factory default it.
Reload the OS on.
Now, Chromebooks, okay? Her question is about Chromebooks with management and everything like that. Everything is user-based. So, you get them, you enroll it into your management console. You order 100 of them. It takes you 3 minutes to connect it to your wireless, connect it to your management console. As soon as you're done with that, you close the lid, put it back in the box, give it to whoever. When the user logs in, they get their settings, just like Active Directory. But you're not having to image the machine with software. It all comes in when they log in.
It takes 3 minutes max.
And it's very similar to like a roaming profile.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, they go bad. You have to reuse recovery again.
So that's if the device completely quits working, and you've got to do that. So, and what that is it's an app.
Mm-hmm.
Recovery app that you get, that you can push it directly to it. You can do it on a Windows machine, you do it whatever. I got a flash drive in my bag that has the OS on it.
That's what we do, is we have the flash drive, because when we go to the high schools, you just pop it in and it's...
It's the only thing I use flash drives for.
Yep.
You guys can make sure you deprovision your used motherboards before I buy them.
I've got a question in the back.
No, it has to do with the Chrome OS missing. I have noticed that if you have to come out and tell you code combination. I have not the manufacturers of those things. If it comes up with TBM error, you might have kicked goodbye.
It comes up with a...
The Samsungs, they've been repairing them for free for me.
Yeah.
I've had several go bad lately.
If you have them and they do go bad, you can call the company. If they're out of warranty, they'll still fix them. I know Samsung does make it.
TP.
It should be like $0, see that on a lot of.
My understanding from Samsung is there's actually Google that's paying to repair them.
Interesting. Yes, sir.
In GAP, how do you recommend, we're in a cart-based system, right? How do you recommend breaking up your OUs for your carts for better management?
So remember, you're still doing it based upon users.
Right.
The only way I'd break up the devices is amongst the individual schools that they're at. Otherwise, or for your case, you've got the high school, elementary, middle school, break it up amongst those different areas. And then that way you can push one set of policies to your high school, one set to your elementary, one set to your middle. For device settings. Then for your student base, you got the student OUs that
And
everybody's
the
in.
student OUs are by
Correct.
graduation year.
There you go. Hmm?
I said, I wish mine was my graduation.
Oh, it's so nice.
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
We're a charter school, and we use software that doesn't normally run on the Chromebook, like Carnegie Learning, Ingenuity. Other than VDI, has every solution to be able to use those Chromebooks.
Other than VDI? So the question he's got Chrome, or he's got Windows apps that they won't run on the Chromebooks. What were some of them?
Carnegie Learning,
Carnegie Learning,
Science Fusion,
Science Fusion,
Ingenuity.
Edgenuity. What are y'all doing with, is anybody using something like those apps or heard of those apps? How do you use them on the Chromebook besides VDI?
So we're a charter school also, and we've got like an engineering program that we teach to some of the kids that won't run, the application won't run on a Chromebook. So we have a class set of PC laptops that are reserved for different classes. Takes a little bit of scheduling, but we're a small enough school that we're able to allocate those PCs to the classes that
So basically, you can still have your own.
we're not doing it. So like we do Project Lead the Way for the engineering curriculum, and that software we put on PC laptops.
Is there a Chrome app that you can use? We're doing like 2D and 3D animations, design stuff and some.
There might be, but we went specifically with the Project Lead the Way curriculum.
So it's not the mechanism that you want, but you can do VDI stuff from the Chromebooks. If you stand up a Hyper-V server that you've got multiple remote desktop accesses in, things like that, you can set it up in that manner. If you have a Citrix-based environment, you can do it through Citrix, whatever, with the Chromebooks.
Have you had an experience with NCET? Some of the content from NCET, they don't have.
Yeah, so NCVPS, you got one Spanish teacher that you can do everything on the Chromebook, and you got another Spanish teacher that you can't do everything on a Chromebook. That's just like what we run into in the schools. They got to mesh together what they're doing, or you may have to have a Windows machine or a Mac sitting there for that student to take that one course. Until those instructors get all the way on board with non-proprietary or Java-based apps, things like that, you're going to run into that.
So, John, we've spun up 18 VMs, 18 Windows 7 VMs, and we're using, Chrome Remote Desktop to get to those VMs. So they can be on the Chromebook and they're just remoting into them, and we're actually running the Minecraft EDU in the VM.
So you brought up my last question that I wanted to. We're over our time. This has been great for me, but one other thing: network folks, technicians, things like that. Anybody left your Windows or Mac yet? No.
I'm that close.
So I'm completely Chromebook. Everything I'm doing is on the Chromebook. I'm running remote desktop on a local network. You can remote desktop into any Windows machine in your network, Mac, whatever. I configure switches. I configure routers. I configure equipment from the Chromebook. So you can do it. There are ways around it, ways to do things. I only brought my Mac this week because I'm going to use it in the Roundtable, so I got two machines up there with me. But otherwise, my Mac sits at the office, and I'm actually have a desktop that's converted to a Chrome OS that's my primary machine at the office. My Mac just sits off to the side. So you can do it.
You running Chromium or what?
I'm running the Neverware solution, the cloud ready. Yeah. So And I've got a unit that I'm going to bring in for Isaac out in the truck for his presentation tomorrow. So VPNs do work. You can access a Cisco VPN. You can access it. You've got to make some modifications to your firewall or whatever, but you can use a VPN on the Chromebook. I'm not actually using it. I can give you the directions, but you don't actually use an app. It's natively built into the Chrome OS. So I use, we have Citrix at the office for things that I can't do on my Chromebook. I'll remote into it, or I'll remote into my Mac and be able to do those things. Yeah, I'm getting a stink eye from Mel, who's normally the one running over.
It's the other way around.
It's the other way around. All right, guys, thank you all. And again, the recording will be up online here in a little bit.
Next year, let's just have a half day with John. John.
Yes.